everybody, and welcome to Vicky Pattison, The Secret To. This week I am joined by broadcaster, TV presenter, podcaster, author, you name it, she's done it. She's my favourite flame-haired beauty. It's Angela Scanlon, everybody.
Hey, girl. Hi, lovely. How are you?
I'm all right, thanks, mate. How are you?
Good, yeah. Congratulations. You got engaged since we last spoke. You were on my podcast. I mean, I don't know how long ago that was, but yeah, I have an image of you on a beach.
Yeah.
Looking blissfully happy. Congrats.
Looking fuck all like I do now.
You look fabulous. Fuck off.
Oh, honestly, mate, I'm so just to dive straight in.
Go on.
I'm going to start. I'll start freezing my eggs this week, like that journey.
Shut up.
Mate, yeah. So I'm due my period on Wednesday, and like that signals the start of it. So, like normally I'd be spray tanned. Normally I'd be like I've got nails off the lot, but I've got a couple of weeks off work for it because I don't fully know the effect it's going to have on like my body.
They put hormone, right? You get hormones. Is it to increase the amount of eggs that you
Exactly.
Like, yeah. So yeah. Oh wow. I know a few people doing it at the moment.
Well, I think it's a nice time of the year. Like fuck all's happening. Everybody, it's cold. Nobody really wants to go anywhere.
So. I don't mean like just in January. I mean January. You're like, oh yeah. No, there's a 2-for-1 deal actually going round.
I thought you meant now. I was like, well, I thought it was a great time.
Hook me up. But you're right. January is a good time to freeze the eggs generally. And you don't want to be out and about really, do you? But that's amazing. That's a big old move, isn't it?
And yeah. And like, so just, I kept waiting, and I've said this before, and like, obviously I know you've got 2 little girls, so you might tell us, honestly, Vicky, no one's fucking ready, but I just kept waiting for that moment, Angela, when I was like, oh my God, I need to be a mom. I need that next step. Like, and it's just never come for me.
It never came for me, babe. Never came for me. I was basically given a gentle ultimatum by my husband to figuratively shit or get off the pot. He was like, babe, we had this chat, okay, before we got married.
We agreed.
And I was like, yeah, but what about, and I was like always kicking it down the road, thinking, no, waiting for that exact moment where I thought I'm going to have it, hallelujah, and I'm going to want to wear the sling and I'm going to be an earth mother all of a sudden. And speaking to people, friends of mine, like some people have that, and I think they have it from the time they're 12 years of age. Like I was on the tube yesterday, I saw I'd say she was 5, a 5-year-old girl, and she was carrying a sling with a doll in it, and I was like, babe, I mean, I know we all have dreams and hopes, but no, at 5 I'd be putting a nail in that. I'd be like, no honey, no. Sorry. It was really, really cute, but I do think there are people who have a real urge and sense that family and motherhood specifically is the thing that
it's their purpose.
It's their purpose. Exactly that. I never had that. The thing for me that I kept thinking was when I close my eyes and think about my future, there are kids in it. Yeah. So I was like, I'm with absolute certainty, I want children. I don't know that tomorrow I want to be pregnant. I don't know that I even loved being pregnant, the labor thing, all of that kind of stuff. But I definitely knew that like deathbed scenario, my ideal would be to have some small humans around me.
But that's it. And I think I was exactly the same. Like it's pretty much echoes my sentiments, you know, like I don't know if I can see, I like the thought of myself being a mom, you know, like I don't like the thought of the alternative for me. Yeah. But like, I really love the thought of being a grandma. So I was like, you absolutely can't have the one without the other. So I thought you fucking just best freeze them, Vicky.
And get moving if you want to be a grandma. There's a chronological situation here, and like fuck knows, we've been putting it off. I don't know what our offspring will be doing. They'll be like having kids when they're 60. I mean, you can pop yourself in a cryo chamber or something.
There'll be loads of medical advancements by then. I'm not saying I want to be the most active grandma. I just want to be there, you know.
Fine. Yeah. Feeding them ice cream and cuddling. Yeah.
Nice. That all looks class. And like, you know, you've not got no responsibilities as a grandma. You're not raising anything. You're not
You don't
molding
need
into good human
discipline.
beings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're like there to literally let it go. It's funny. I watched Matilda with my daughter recently, and it's so cute. I mean, if you haven't seen the Netflix, it's in cinema, but it's also weirdly on Netflix.
Is this the like stage show thing?
It's the stage show turned into a film, and it's absolutely brilliant.
Is it good?
It's Dennis Kelly and Tim Mitchum, the comedian, have done the adaptation now. I think possibly they did the stage show. Anyway, it's magic and it's funny and it's quite dark, but Matilda does a brilliant little rendition where she's like, sometimes you got to be a little bit naughty. And my daughter, every time she does something now, she'll go to me, sometimes you got to be. And I'm like, you're a cheeky bitch. But it's actually get back up them stairs. But I think as a grandparent, you can like fully relish that, because I obviously have to smile and giggle, secretly be proud of her pushing my buttons, but also like, oh, I need to rein her in. Whereas I think a grandparent, you can fully enjoy the wildness of them.
And that's the beautiful thing. There's that saying, isn't there? Like, raise your kids so you don't have to raise your grandkids.
Raise your kids so you can ruin your grandkids.
Yes, you can have a bit of fun, get your own back. But like, exactly. I look at me ma with Mavie, who is my other favourite ginger person, by the way.
Okay, great.
Yeah, you're a podium place, and it's a big honour. I would have said Prince Harry was up there as well, but I'm really conflicted at the moment.
So am I. I'm so confused on many levels.
I just want to love them and want them to go and have this really happy life out in America like they wanted. And then I keep hearing about his Willie, and I'm like,
his Willie and Elizabeth Arden. I'm like, babe, I knew Kate Moss put it on her face, but why is he putting it on his mushroom?
And why is he telling me? That's the worst thing.
I know.
Right. I'm flip-flopping all over the shop. But
flip away, babe.
Have you got an autobiography? Because I know you've got a book, but have you done like a memoir or not?
I mean, so Joyrider is my book, and it's kind of, you've read it, you've cried to it, Vicky, which is one of my like claims to fame. But it's kind of a memoir / self-help, in that it's, there are tools and there are things that I've picked up along the way, but it's, the basis is in is my life. So there's some personal stories in there, but I feel like a memoir is quite a punchy thing to title it as.
Yeah.
So
Memoir feels salacious in some way, but like I felt like yours was I just felt like it was very honest, very real, self-help vibes, but like certainly not self-righteous. But you must have had someone who went through the same process as me when I was writing my autobiography way back when. And like, I would write, because you just like, you're told to tell your story, and I'm quite an honest person, as are you. You just write, like you just speak organically from the heart. And there was somebody who read it after me and was like, listen, we don't need to know that bit, and legally that bit might be a bit of an issue, and do you want to tell everybody that? And like it was great, because then I was able to be like, I actually don't really want everyone to know that is a bit weird, And why, like at the time when I wrote mine, we're going back, like I'd just done Geordie Shore. Nobody fucking knew who I was really. Like, why did I have that person? And Prince Harry, arguably the most famous man on the planet right now. Why has no one said, don't tell him about your knob?
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we'd be talking about that memoir if he hadn't written about his knob, is the truth of it.
You think it's all a game plan?
Well, I don't know. I think he's playing it pretty well, in fairness. I don't know. Like I saw Jeremy Vine on TikTok talking about it, like listening to an excerpt like that. I'm showing my age, listening to an excerpt of it and being like, what, why is that? So like, he's obviously not going to tell deep, dark secrets about his marriage and his relationship. I think that seems to have been kept under wraps. I don't know that he needed to talk about like falling on the dog bowl thing. We all have scraps with our siblings. Anyway, it's very confusing, the whole thing. And it's actually just all a bit sad. I think I'm like,
I know.
That's
how I feel. I just feel like my sister, and there's only me and her, and we're like closes out, even though I'm down here and she's up north. Like, I can't imagine a world where I'd ever fight or fall out with her as an adult or say her anything disparaging, and to see them fall apart in such a huge way. And it almost feels like you cannot come back from it. I don't know. It all just feels a bit sad.
It's hard to come back from that when it's so public. Literally every interaction between them will forever be under scrutiny. It's like, I don't know. It's tricky. Anyway, how did we get onto that?
So what about gingers?
Oh, another redhead. You were about to, we were talking about kids, weren't we? And obviously Archibald has changed his life massively. But you have dogs, babe, and I'm not for a second before anyone comes for me comparing kids to dogs, and I do not own dogs. But like, you know, there's a level of responsibility that goes with owning a dog that I imagine prepares you a little bit. If you're like 100% flying around wherever you want to be going on any given day without thinking about anybody else really, then a child is quite the shock to the system, which is what happened to me, FYI.
Well, that's it. So I definitely think, and again, well, listeners are lovely. Nobody complains. They're a very open-minded bunch. Yeah. But again, I'm not comparing them either. Dogs and kids are very different. I know that. But I do feel like it's a bit of a precursor, essentially, you know, and I'm learning about, like you say, responsibility, not putting yourself first, like understanding dynamics of like, oh, you can't just go here, there and everywhere. You need to get someone to look after them. Yeah. And I think it's like we're slowly edging in the right direction, but I do just think nought can prepare you. Like,
no, I don't think anything can prepare you either. But I do think one of the things that it helps you to fully understand, because a lot of the time when people talk about having children, there's a list of sacrifices, there's a list of things that are about to change, and often it's served to you as a really negative change, like you're about to be whacked around the head and never come back from it. But I think, again, like having a pet where you go, oh, yes, I do have to get up at, 3:00 in the morning to let them out and do a wee or whatever. But my God, the love they give me on the couch on a Sunday. So you start to really appreciate the back and forth of that. So it's not just this like sacrifice that you make for 18 years or the rest of your life or whatever. You start to understand that what you give, you also receive back massively. And I think that's a huge switch in your head, because you think, oh, okay, yeah, this is different.
But then that's it. Like, it's always about reframing it in perspective and stuff, isn't it? And like, you could look at any section of your life like that, like, oh, fuck's sake, I've got to go to work. Or
exactly.
Fuck's sake, the baby's crying again. Like, if you just look at it like, oh my God, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I'm young, I'm going to work, or oh my God, this tiny little part of me that I managed to create is awake. Let's start my day. Like, and that's such a fucking romanticized and Disney way of looking at it. And there's definitely moments where I'm like, that fucking dog is barking again.
He's going out the window. Yeah. But you're right. You're absolutely right. It's a discipline, I think, in forcing yourself to reframe. And Joyrider, my book, is about gratitude. And I'm sure we'll get to that. But it's like, it is that practice of going, no, there's a different way to look at this that may help me feel better in the moment. So selfishly, you're like, okay, how can I just tweak and really practice it and hold yourself to it and know that you can change the way you feel about anything. And as you say, it's really hard to do it in moments where you're knackered and you're under pressure and you're like sick of it, whatever. But it's massively empowering to know that you have the ability to change your feeling about any given situation.
Within yourself as well. Like, it's not like, oh God, I need to buy
something.
I need to go through therapy. I need to do this or I need to do that. Like, it's just actually like, whoa, just sit and take a second and have a breath and reframe it. Yeah. And you said, oh, we'll get to Joyrider in a second. It feels like a really natural place to get to it now, mate. I absolutely loved your book.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you, mate. And like, I meant it. I opened it up on the plane and I sat down and started reading it, and I just was sobbing. And just so much of it like resonated, and it was so beautifully written and so honest and funny and just very insightful, mate. And like, I always say, you need more joy, you need more gratitude, you need all these things in your life. But I thought it encapsulated that mindset perfectly. So congratulations on a wonderful book, basically.
Thanks, babe. Thank you. Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? The whole writing of a book and then
scary.
It being out it's so scary. And like the hangover of it, the vulnerability hangover of it, because I kind of thought, okay, I can't write about gratitude. Well, I can, but if you're stuck somewhere and people are like, oh, just look on the bright side of life, it's not helpful in any way, shape or form. It's not something that you can hang on to. And so I kind of felt, okay, people, if you follow me on Instagram or you see my work, you'll think, oh, she's quite a jolly old soul, isn't she? And I am pretty, positive outwardly. I don't say that, like, I'm not crying in my soup every day, but I definitely have had to really work on it. And
it's been a discipline.
Been a fucking discipline, and it continues to be a discipline. And I think maybe that's what I felt people deserve to know, because if you look at me from the surface, and there are some people, I'm not one of them, but some people who are just naturally really happy.
I think there's something fucking missing. Honestly, when I look, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but sometimes when I look at these people who are like, la, 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 I think, you're fucking not all there, are you?
Yeah.
Like, life is hard, mate. And if you're telling me every day you're like this, you're full of shit.
I know. Well, also, I would think there's an element of denial now. I'm like, oh, no, it's a surface. It's a kind of, there's, I think you've got to be in the fucking depths sometimes to really be able to enjoy the ups when they do come. And so I think, if somebody's like that all the time, then maybe they're protesting a bit too much. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I felt, okay, I need to like share a little bit of the things that maybe people wouldn't necessarily know about me, in order for them to understand that actually, if you're not that way inclined naturally, you can access, you can use gratitude. And also, I was like, I'm obsessed with self-help and self-development, always have been. Don't read fiction, embarrassing, but like have read self-help, as they were called, books since I was 15.
Really?
Yes. Like,
I say, I love a bit of fiction, man.
Oh my God. No, I was always, now I can understand it's also a little problematic that I'm like, oh no, I can't just read a book just for enjoyment and escape. I need to better myself. How is this going to further my development?
Yeah, there's definitely something problematic wrapped up in that, but I'm not going to touch it.
Thank you. I'm not ready to unleash that beast. But I had read like an awful lot of self-development kind of books, and I'd done an awful lot of like kooky things. My husband Roy would take the piss out of him. He's like, oh my God, what kind of quack are you at this week? Like, because I was always seeking somebody to magically make me feel whole. And gratitude was this weird thing that I kept coming back to. I'd like see it in different ways and dress it. Because look, a lot of these lessons that we write about, that we learn, are the same, dressed up in different voices and in different methods and whatever else. And so gratitude was the one that kept coming back to me. And I was like, okay, there's a lot of weird shit that I embark upon that I don't know if most people, A, would be able to afford it, B, be interested in it or open to it.
Yeah.
I thought gratitude, like, how could I help my dad? And gratitude was that thing that was like, it doesn't cost you anything. So you obviously take it for granted, and it's easy to do. And so I just started to build up these practices and properly come back to it and like knock it out of the bed until I had done that little moment and force myself to, always be looking for something better, as opposed to looking at all of the things that I had yet to do, or comparing myself to everybody who had seemingly done a million times better than me in any given day.
And also done it like looking a million times better than you, and like with their kids in matching outfits, and like, that's the bit for me.
Matching pajamas is very triggering for you, isn't it, Vicky?
But then I do it. I do it, mate. I'm such a hypocrite and an arsehole, because I'm literally like, I'm so disparaging about these families that manage to like turn out looking great every week and they're matching things. But then, any given opportunity, I'm like, fuck, now let's whack the dogs in something that matches.
Yeah. It's an Instagram moment, babe. But look, it's about knowing that that's not real life either. You can play with it. And I think you're really good at staying in touch with that. I mean, your TikTok, it makes me scream with laughter all the fucking time. So it's just humor. It's adding humor. Sometimes, again, I think self-help can feel, as you would say, self-righteous and preachy, and like you've reached the top of a mountain and you're looking down and teaching people, and it's absolute bollocks, because you fall apart every second day. And so it's just knowing that you have a little toolkit of stuff that you can return to, so that when you're in that hole, you can get yourself out of it.
But yours doesn't feel like that, and I think this is really important, like point, like, I know you know, but I have to tell you, it never comes. What you do, which I love, is like you show where you've struggled, where you've gone wrong, like your hardships, your grazed knees, your bad chapters. And like you make women feel less alone, Angela, you know? So you can sort of think, oh God, well, if she's gone fat and she didn't feel like that this morning, but she's still smiling on the telly, or she's doing, I can do it as well. Yeah. And I think that's what I liked about it, is I never once felt patronized or preached at. I just felt like she's like me.
Yeah. Her filter's broken too.
One of us.
Totally.
Oh, mate, I could talk to you all day about the book, but I will just say this to everybody. It's available on Amazon and in all good bookie places.
Bookie places, exactly. And it's now in paperback, so you can like chuck it in the arse end of your bag and like, you know, give it to a human who doesn't like hard, but I don't know. It's in an airport somewhere.
Buy it. In part 2, we're going to go right back to the beginning. I'm going to talk to you about Irish dancing, just to be
fabulous. By the way, the book is called Joyrider. Did I say that? I'm really shit at this game.
It's called Joyrider. It's available in book places. Buy it, please. Hello everybody and welcome back to part 2 of Vicky Pattison Secret 2. This week I'm joined by the gorgeous Angela Scanlon, and we're about to deep dive into your early childhood. We're about to get balls deep in Ireland.
Balls deep in Ireland.
Balls
English
deep.
have been doing that for fucking years.
Oh yes, you can. Fucking out. It's not a political podcast, Angela. Stop it.
We don't have time for that.
No. I also don't think I have like the minerals. Like I instantly started to sweat when you said that.
Fine, it's fine. You're off. You're off the hook.
God. Where are you talking to her from now? Just so I've got some.
London.
Yeah.
So I live here. Everyone thinks I live in Ireland because I do take a lot of green pictures when I'm home, and I get a bit misty-eyed and awkward about being away. So I like try to make sure they feel I haven't left, you know what I mean? Also, I do a chat show from home, and I call Ireland home, even though I've lived here for 10 years. So it looks like I'm home a lot.
No, but then I think it's so as someone who's not like obviously from London, I really struggle. Like, it's almost like having a second
really struggle
child.
What in London?
No, I really struggle with like. So right, this is how I describe it. It's like having a second child. So Newcastle is my first child, right?
Yeah. Okay.
I absolutely love it. It's always going to be super special to me for loads of reasons. It's the first. It's blah blah.
Yeah.
But then I have this second child, which like wow, is actually also really class.
Yeah, but you're not allowed to say you love it more.
I can't
Definitely
say
not. No.
well, absolutely, and I don't love it more. It's different. I love it for different things. You know,
very diplomatic.
Yeah, I'm able to do my career here really easily. And I've got like, the capital city on my doorstep. Mm-hmm. And, but then, but the first child's still so special. You can't feel any less special. So when I'm talking about my life in London or how I'm always a little bit conflicted. And I feel like that's probably your headspace too.
100%. And it's funny because as you mentioned, I have 2 daughters and I was always a little bit fearful that when the second would come along, also I'm a second of 4. So I didn't know if the reality of a second child coming along, and I did actually love the first one more, I would realize that potentially that was how my parents felt about me. And the reality of that would suddenly become really, really unavoidable.
Hard to deal with.
So like a lot happening, right? Anyway, as it turns out, and friends of mine were like, your love doesn't half when you have a second child, your heart doubles. I was like, okay, thanks a mil.
Your friends sound like right knobs.
But also true, Vicky. Okay. You'll be coming back to me now when you thaw those second batch of eggs and you're like, honestly, do I have capacity? And I'll say, babe, your heart doubles, okay? Lean in. But I think with London and Dublin, so what I've started to say to my eldest is when I'm like, I love you guys so much, about the 2 girls. And then I'll say to her, you know, I've loved you the longest, and that will always be the way. Okay. So it's not like a preference, it's just a factual statement. Yeah. And so Ireland, I have loved for longer than I've loved London. So I can always...
You're so clever. That is such a brilliant way of putting it. Yeah. Diplomatic, true, factual, not leaning too much into the emotive.
Yeah. So you're like, do you know what? Ireland like is special because it's like my longest love affair. And then, you know, London's exciting. I mean, I'm conflicted about London until recently. I found it really, really hard. Yeah. I came over here like almost on a whim. I couldn't get an agent in Ireland. And so I was like Googling agents in London, somehow got so bloody lucky and was like, oh, we'll just see what sticks. And so I hadn't committed to London. I was over and back, basically pretending to people over here that I lived here, pretending to people in Ireland that I lived there, and kind of double jobbing. Exactly. But it really did take a while. When I actually committed to being in London, I found it so incredibly suffocatingly lonely. Yeah, and people talked about it being, oh, it's a real lonely city, and I just thought it was so pathetic to admit that. I was like, come on, I can hear people talking people outside everywhere. My window. They're everywhere. How can you possibly be lonely? And that felt like a massive failure to me, and it was not an option for me to ever leave without conquering it as I felt. I was like, I can't go. This feels like it's got the better of me. And it really took a long, long time for it to feel like I was at home or I had a sense of ease or, you know, comfort in London.
Is your fella from
Irish?
Oh, you say so. What was that? Did he come over with you, or did you
dragged him over?
Yeah,
dragged him
kicking
over
and screaming,
literally kicking and screaming. And then the odd time I'd get a wobble, and he'd be like, "Are you for fucking real?" Except he's not from Dublin, he's from Cork, and he'd be like, excuse me now, I've literally moved us over here, you better make this work. My mom
best fucking man up.
Like, do you know what, I really just want to move to Cork and set up a florist. I just don't know if I'm cut out for this business anymore. I feel like I'm much more, you know, sensitive and vulnerable, and maybe this is just not what I'm supposed to be doing. Shall we go to West Cork? And he's like, get to fuck. We moved to London, make it work. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Hey, Lizzie, just wondering, any work this week?
I'm back. I'm back in the room.
Back in the room. Yeah.
I do exactly the same thing, mate. Like every time something doesn't go exactly my way here, right? Like say we live in this really close, actually. There's only like 8 houses, and it's very like Wisteria Lane, Desperate Housewives vibes. It's really nice. But you know, like there's always one, isn't there? And there is one.
2 doors down, or
no, it's fucking right across the road from us, mate.
Do they listen to this podcast?
No way. But if they do, I hope you know you're the fucking knobs. Honestly, they've called the police on Milo, like beautiful Labrador dog. Yeah, they described him as a dangerous rescue dog. Like honestly, they've just gone no length has been spared. Yeah. Okay. So anytime something happens like that, I'm just like, that's it. You wouldn't get this up north. Like, I want to go back. I want to open a deli. I want to call it Max and Milo's, and I want to hear the sea, and I want to see me mum every day. And this is this like spiral I go down. And Erkan's like, will you just fucking shut up?
Go into the room and meditate, but have a bath and fuck off, please.
No, you go, are you on your period? That's what I get.
That's so reductive, Erkan, but yeah, actually it's due.
Yeah, fucking 2 days away, mate. Good shout. I
really need to get one of those flow tracker things again. It sneaks up on me every month, wallops me around the head. You know the way you say you want to open a deli? That's what I want to do. So I studied business at uni. I've since like
God,
set up a business.
Loads of lives.
I'm 75. And
I just use Elizabeth Arden all over my face and knob.
On my fanny. You should see her. She's sparkling.
Like a mouse is here.
They are so soft, though, I bet.
Soft and small. That's the compliment there.
Okay, fine, great. Good to know. But I did so now I have set up a jewelry business called Freckle, but that's like been a relatively new encounter. We're like a year in. But previously, I wanted to set up a deli with one of my best friends. And so we started looking around at premises. Now, sure, hadn't have been to rub together. I don't know what we intended to buy this bloody or rent this premises with. But anyway, we were like, we'd go sit. It was before coffee shops, but we'd sit with our notebooks and we'd be like, oh yeah, we're going to do that. And you can build your own salad. And that was like really, really cutting edge at the time. And so all of these ideas, and we kind of, this one particular day, been looking at these properties and whatever else, and the realization that we had no capacity to set up a deli tomorrow. This is a longer reaching goal for us, as it turned out. And we went into a local cafe, like very local, and we're 15 years ago in Meath, just to set the scene. So it wasn't like a sexy cafe.
No.
And it's
giving rustic.
That's generous. And so we went in and there was two L ones, is how I describe them. Two like mature ladies behind the desk, behind the deli counter, with white like butcher's coats on and hairnets. Okay. And so the two of us were edging along the front of the deli counter, and neither of us said anything. And then we both looked at each other. We sat down with our salads of like tinned sweet corn and iceberg lettuce and a bit of peppers, right? And we just looked at each other and thought, I don't think this is it, babe. And we were like, thank fuck, I am not wearing a hairnet. And that was it.
Oh, was that the dream dead, mate? Was it
dead, but like nice, quick? That's the thing. I think failure or realization and then pivot quickly. Like, cool, yeah.
I never wanted to do it anyway.
No, never wanted to do it anyway. I just wanted to make cold hard cash and be like a business owner. You know, when I was a kid, when people would say, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I used to say, fuck knows where this came from, I want to be a businesswoman in a turquoise convertible with my hair blowing in the wind. Very specific.
That is a very grand image. Like, just as you say that, I'm like, oh, impressive. Tell me more.
I know. Like Diane Keaton in Baby Boom. That's kind of the vibe. I was like, I'm going to do it for myself. I ain't going to need no man to buy me a car. I was very much a feminist at 5, even though I didn't know how to spell that, how to pronounce it. It was not in the vocabulary in our home. It was like, no, fuck that. I'm doing it myself. Come on up here.
Max, his dad's took Milo out on a walk, and so Max is just feeling very sorry for himself and just crying next to Mammy's feet. Milo, Maxie, do you want
Which is the eldest?
Milo. He's out for his walk. Max is still a bit small. Do you want to meet Auntie Angela?
Hi, Bubba.
Oh, he's gone right off. Right off. Well, look, do you want to see Ashes are lovely? Oh,
gorgeous. Oh, hi. What a gorgeous one. And that marble table is lush as well.
Oh, I made it fucking was if I'd tell the cleaners not to use like chemicals on it straight
away. Did they ruin it?
They took the whole top of it off.
Shit.
I know, and it wasn't cheap either.
Fuck me. And a mitered edge. I've learned about that recently.
Well, this is like obviously a really good segue into your show on the BBC. Mate, I can't believe. So obviously I got like all my research on you this morning, and it was like she was but I mean, fair enough, you were an Irish dancer, but I kind of believe that's probably everybody in Ireland.
Oh no, I mean, I danced for 20 years, babe. I was hardcore. Yeah.
Were you ever in the river dance?
Was I ever in the river dance? It's not called the river dance. It's called river dance. But
sorry to everyone in Ireland.
No, I danced. So basically, the dancing school that I was part of, 16 out of the 24 original river dancers were from my school. So we, as part of the school, got like permission to dance river dance. Nobody else could do it. So we used to tour around cradle of river dance. Yeah, we were like the babies doing river dance. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's actually mad prestigious, mate.
I know. And also still when I hear the music, I'm like, it's like something in my bones, my posture.
Just takes over.
I'm like, here, back in the room. Yeah.
Do you get pissed and do it at parties?
Yes.
Yeah, good. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, our relationship wouldn't have been the same if the answer to that was no.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you went from, so obviously you always had a kind of performing sense of like hard work and diligence, achieving streak within you.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, I was reading all the stuff you've done and I was like, Jesus Christ, like I wasn't joking. It sounds like you've had loads of lives. So you were like a stylist first, is that right?
Yeah.
And what was the idea behind that? Was it always, I'm going to be a TV stylist?
No, absolutely not.
No.
So I studied business, obviously realized that the deli dream was not the one, and thought, shit, what am I going to do? And so then I probably kept this one out of my biog. I worked in doing invoicing for an anaesthetist and his wife.
I don't know why that wasn't on the old CV, but I find that very interesting.
Honestly, it's so glam. And so I thought, you know what, fuck it, maybe I liked, in my head, I was like, I really like fashion. And we came to the conclusion as a family, i.e. me and my mom, that maybe you could just get a normal job and like buy clothes on the weekend. I was like, okay, I mean, that seems quite sensible, actually. It was horrendous. It was literally the worst time of my life. So it was a really good lesson. If we're talking about gratitude and like putting a nice spin and reframing things, I'm really grateful because I was, in hindsight, deeply depressed at that time. But it was a very clear message to me that I was like, okay, me having a wage every week is not the thing. Like that, the security of money is not what I'm driven by. That actually, I'd much rather have less money or, no money, and
doing
figure out
passionate
exactly
about.
that.
Yeah.
So that kind of became, quite a driving force. Anyway, I started importing handbags. Ooh. And selling them on a stall in Dublin. So I basically...
Like handcrafted leather vibes?
Yeah, like Miss Bud was one of them. And then, I forget the name of the other one, but I basically called them up. Again, Googled back in the day, independent handbag designers, and found a couple of really nice labels, and then told each of the labels that I represented the other. And they were like, oh, yeah, I know them. And so I went to London with the bag, like with a bit of cash, with one of those granny plaid bags that Balenciaga now charge you for. And I filled them, and I came home and I got myself a spot at this stall, set up my table, and every Friday, Saturday, Sunday was in there selling my bags. And then I would go around to charity shops and find nice things and sell them. And then while I was there, started doing personal shopping and realized, there was a magazine that was in this market. And one of the women who had set up the market was the stylist in the magazine. I was like, oh my God, I've read magazine. It never occurred to me that somebody actually put those clothes on that model. Fucking hell, that is a revelation. So I was like, how do I get a bit of that? So I then started assisting her as a stylist. And so I worked as a stylist and a personal shopper. And then while I was personal shopping, I got approached, like, literally, will you come on our show to talk about what Drew Barrymore wore to the Oscars on Friday? And so more in a trend capacity. And I did it, and it was live. And maybe because of my Irish dancing, I was like 3, 2, 1. And like the buzz was amazing.
Did you just fall in love with the whole thing?
I loved it. And I loved the terror. It was the first time I'd had that sense of like knowing deep down, my dancing teacher used to say, unless your head falls off and rolls across the stage, you keep going. And so there was always this sense
it's giving
of
dance moms.
Dance moms. But it's like the show must go on, Yeah. So there was this kind of inbuilt, like, knowing that, okay, I can do this. The live thing felt really like comfortably uncomfortable. And I had truthfully gotten really bored of people asking me, what should I be wearing this series or this season? Because I was like, I genuinely couldn't care less, babe. Live your life, whatever makes you happy. But that was not a satisfactory response from someone they were paying for advice. And so I thought, whatever, who gives a shit? I started basically developing and producing bits for telly, all in fashion at the time, but then, starting to pitch other bits and pieces. And I pitched a documentary idea called Oi Ginger. which was exploring gingerism as the last remaining acceptable prejudice. And they commissioned the documentary.
Did they love it?
Loved it.
I mean,
you should watch it, babe. I don't know where you'll find it, but it's probably on YouTube. And so that was my first doc. And then I did 4 after that. And then I did a series of 6 after that the BBC acquired. And then, yeah, that was kind of the beginning of telly for me.
I've just got so many questions. So first of all, you truly are a grafter and you are like the master of your own design. Like, you can't say, I was in the right place at the right time.
No.
Oh, look, fate, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You fucking knew what you wanted, or you thought you did. You got your head down. You were resilient. You rolled with the punches. You adapted when you had to. Like, I just think that's really inspirational. I don't want to sound in any way like I'm not being complimentary about like slightly younger generations and stuff. But I sort of feel like really, really terrified about like what they're going to do. Like, even with my partner Erkan, who is a bit younger than me and I consider to be a different generation, like I sometimes think they just think something's going to fall in their lap.
Yeah.
And like, I never had that. Granted, I do think I was lucky with Geordie Shore. That completely
opened up.
Yeah, it did make, because I wasn't as savvy or as pushy as you. I don't think I would have got to where I am now half as quickly if it wasn't for that opportunity. But I do sometimes think like, Jesus Christ, like I worry what's going to happen. They all just think they're going to be influencers or like,
but I think
Love Island or whatever.
Totally. And I also think there's such a like, I didn't want to do telly because it would make me famous. That's almost the downside of it for me. I wanted to do it because it was ideas. It was like creative. Exciting. You were creating something. It was so exciting to me. And you were part of a team and you'd all arrive on set and it was like, shit, we did this. This is amazing. And so it was, the motivation to do it was very different and the drive to do it was very different. But I think, so, there's obviously a lot of chat about manifesting these days. And I really am, like, I think there's definitely something in that. But I think the packaging of that these days is sit in your hole, whip out a nice little fancy Pinterest board, physical or digital, whatever you're into, pin it to the wall, and then like sit there and eat fucking crisps and wait for the magic to happen. And it's like, no, that's not how it works. And we
need to action it. You need
the action piece is the piece that people are missing. You're like, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. Unless you instigate things, nothing comes back. So you can have the ideas in the world. You can line yourself up for fucking magic. But if you're not actually getting your arse out into the world, then you're going nowhere.
No, then this is nowhere. So I can't tell you how many chats I've had with my pals who I think they're busy women. They've got kids, they've got jobs, they've got fellas, they've got food to get on the table. Like, I fucking love me mates. Like, salt the earth.
And it's a lot.
In school. It's a lot. So, like, I don't think they've quite got the head around the manifesting thing. And they'll just go, oh, yeah, I'll be manifesting that for you.
Yeah.
When I tell them I want a job or something, I'm like, I'm not quite sure that's how it works, pal.
I mean, also, will you send her on to me? That is power.
I'll be manifesting it for you. And I think your heart is so in the right place. I absolutely fucking love you. But there must be so many people out there who will literally just think, in order to get, the man of the dreams or the promotion or whatever it is that is on their vision board, they've just got to sit at home and send out positive vibes.
Just like, write it down.
Yeah, fucking write it down, put it in your journal, So no, I completely
And that's
agree.
not to take the piss out of all those things, because there's validity in them. Yeah. Totally. And also I think what they do is they focus the mind. If you're not sure where you want to go, they will maybe, help you recognize clarity, exactly that. But the idea is that maybe you're a bit more open to opportunities. But I genuinely think it's, okay, what can I do this week? And actually, I listened to Davina McCall on a podcast recently. She's like, I'm still emailing producers. I'm still emailing them going, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? This would be a great idea. ITV, what about me for this? If this job comes back, I'd like to be in the mix. And you kind of think, most people think, oh, no. You get to a certain level, you've got to look a bit aloof and, you know, untouchable. And actually, I think it is that drive and that hunger and that openness to actually chase down opportunities.
To show that vulnerability and say, I still fucking want this.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
that.
I'm never above that, mate. And like, I just think it would be a real shame and listen, I'm not speaking from a place of experience because I don't know loads of people from the younger generation. I really don't. I'm just a cow. But I just think that hunger, that drive, that desire to fucking make something of yourself, potentially like in a space that's difficult, that takes some work. I don't know if there's that there anymore. And it would be a proper travesty, because when I meet women like you, or men, it's so impressive. It just gives you like, when you meet a person who's hustled and grown and still it's just, it is a remarkable thing. And I don't know, I'd be upset if the next generation didn't have some of those values.
Yeah. I mean, I think they do. I mean, it's maybe too wide sweeping, and maybe we're
general.
Yeah, but also maybe we're going, oh my God, like we got through all of that and then thought, oh, I'm going to do a little bit of healing now that I've got time. Whereas they're going, I think I'd like to enter my life fully healed. And like, that's also a load of bollocks, because it's, you know, a never ending. Exactly. Like, you're always moving towards that. So I think the idea of sitting down and healing and then beginning is a trap.
Topsy-turvy,
it's like,
also potentially the argument that I am actually just old and I've started to do the whole back in my day, which is really scary, but obviously a real option, actually.
Yeah. I think so, but I think it's fine. It's literally the gift of the elderly.
That's all we've got, and I'm fucking clinging to it, mate. We were better.
But you're straddling the lines beautifully. I mean, I'm at the point where I'm like, oh, I'm on TikTok. How the fuck does that work? I feel like you jump on board openly with gusto.
No, it's all smoke and mirrors. Like, my agent rang us and she was like, you need to get on TikTok. And I was like,
but like, who does them for you?
So my hairdresser. So he's young and fun. And he's great on TikTok. Like, he's amazing. Thomas.
So do you like go, okay, I'm going to do a day now and Tommy's coming over and
that's it. It's all about like stockpiling the content and then like almost like putting it out in an organic way. So people think like, oh, she's so really young. When actually I had to fucking ring him just to find out how to post it again. So
oh my God, does Tommy work freelance by any chance?
Mate, he'd be all over that. He'd love to do some content with. I'll send you.
Please do. What is right? Joking.
No, seriously. Dead interestingly though, I'm really keen to get into the documentary space. Obviously,
you'd be fantastic.
I made the one with my dad last year, and we've got some nice treatments in with Channel 4, and there's talk and buzz and all the rest of it. And like, you know, I'm not above fucking pushing. Like, I ask every month, like, what's happening?
Any news?
Have you thought about that one then? But I'm really nervous. Like, obviously that one I did with my dad was personal, Angela. So I felt like I had a right to discuss it. But you know, when you start to get away from the ones that you're like, it very closely
centered around you, kind of. Yeah.
And it becomes you're being recognized in more of a journalistic space. I have a real imposter syndrome about it, and I'm a bit nervous.
I think imposter syndrome is fine. Again, reframing it rather than going, oh my God, it's this like thing that follows me around, like that's going to ruin my life. I actually think it's a signal to you that you're in a like deliciously uncomfortable space. Like, if you don't have imposter syndrome, you haven't pushed yourself.
You're in your comfort zone, aren't you?
In your comfort zone, I think so. I'm like, imposter syndrome, get in here, ride me like a pony. But I also think that if you think about it, it's different disciplines. But this podcast is you interviewing people about their stories with curiosity and openness and a lack of judgment. And I think that's often not present in documentaries, and it's what you need. You need to be a blank canvas to explore other people's experience, and I think you'd be really brilliant at that. And you're so empathetic. Is that the word? I always get slightly confused. Like, you can read people, you know, and you can feel what they're thinking, and I think you know when to go, when to leave space. So I mean, you feel like documentaries are new for you, but these are basically short documentaries in audio form.
I had never thought about it like that. I always just say, my podcast is a lovely chat with someone I find interesting.
Bollocks, it's an interview. It's a short documentary.
Okay, fuck off, Louis Theroux, I'm ready.
You're old anyway.
Move over.
But I do think that it's openness and it's curiosity, and you either have that or you don't. You can be the shiniest, most fabulous, super polished. If you are not naturally nosy and inquisitive about humans, whether there's a camera in your face or not, then you're not meant to do that gig. And I think you have that. I imagine, like, apart from Rosie across the road bitching about your dogs, you'd chat to anyone and you get to the nub, pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I do have an obsession with human nature.
Mm-hmm.
And like, Erkan will come home and be like, oh, so-and-so, like his pals, he'd be like, oh, your son's broke up with so-and-so. And I'd be like,
why?
Yeah, sure, right. I'm still speaking. Was it amiable? Do you think they'll get back together? And he's like, they're just not together anymore. And I'm like, how is that all you know about your friend of 20 years and his breakup? Like, fuck off. It drives me mental. Like, I do need to know everything. So yeah. I think
you're ready, babe. You're ready.
Made us really excited.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're similar to me in that sense, that you are a nosy face.
Nosy bitch.
And then that is why I feel like you're perfectly suited to your show on RTE. So
ask me anything.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. And I had a little watch this morning of your one with Jedward, but I do know that was series 1. And
that was series 1.
Loads of fantastic, amazing, really exciting guests since then. Who's been your favourite?
Oh, I mean, this is controversial, but I had Anne Robinson on last year.
We can link Anne Robinson.
Yeah.
Aye.
And I'm not going to lie. Oh, I don't know whether you like angel numbers, but look, 11. Oh, it just changed.
It felt special. Felt like we had a special moment.
11. Sorry. Anne Robinson was just completely unexpected. Who else was on last series? I mean, we had Rob Delaney on series 1, Chris O'Dowd,
I
Aisling
fucking love Rob Delaney.
He is
nice.
Wonderful.
I was just talking about him on the podcast the other day.
He's amazing.
He's an immense supporter of the NHS, and it came
Yeah.
And I was like, he's just such an amazing man.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. An amazing writer and performer, and like just a really gorgeous human, actually. Very, very generous. And so he was lovely. Tom Allen was on this series. Too. He's fab. Has he been on this?
No, so he's not been on this, but
he'd be great.
He would be great. Well, actually, I'm in talks to do a different show at the moment. And they're looking at bringing someone on with some serious presenting chops, obviously. And his name's been bandied around, and like it's so early days. Like, God knows, but I was really excited. I wouldn't have met him once.
Lovely combo. He's fab. That'd be gorgeous. So I mean, we've had loads. Minnie Driver was on our last series as well. Yeah,
I'm obsessed with her.
I know, she's really brilliant and magical. She's very Hollywood.
She did this really great sitcom that I just thought she was far too good to do. But like,
what's it called?
It was when her son is in the wheelchair.
Oh, that's only out very recently, has it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And was it not great? But she was.
No, it was great. But I was just like, this feels not good enough for how amazing you are. But it was just, it all come together lovely. And I just thought, maybe when you're as successful as she is, you can pick and choose things that you just think are fab.
That you actually just really love.
Going back to what you said, sometimes it's not about the money and the wage. It is about, this sets my soul on fire.
Yeah, so she's fab. But look, the show it's that kind of dream gig. It's a Saturday night.
That's big.
That show. I know.
I'm buzzing for you with that. That's fucking actually so class. Everyone Island sitting down to you on a Saturday is
I know. And I wear the campus outfits you've ever seen in your life. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But I love it. I absolutely love it. And it's the first time that there's been a female host in that main schedule. Yes. They've done like Saturday night female host, but in the summer schedule, when the lads are taking a break,
when the lads are like getting pissed and playing golf in pubs.
Exactly.
You can have a moment, hon.
Yeah. So it feels big for loads of different reasons, but mostly it's just been a fucking hoot. we have such a great time, like such a great time. And then look, Your Homemade Perfect feels so different to that and is on BBC, but also on Netflix. So there's a whole other audience of young'uns watching that show who are like, oh my God, I love those goggles. How do I get my walls to move? When can I see the sun? But that's nosiness at the heart of it as well. You know, it's like actually being able to root around somebody's house and, you know, ask the question, much like you're like, what happened in the breakup? You're like, okay, so what's going on here? I don't think we just need a conservatory, guys. What are we into here?
Has there ever been, when you've been doing Ask Me Anything, a question you really wanted to ask, but you weren't allowed?
No.
You've really just gone for it every time.
I've really gone for, I mean, one of the ones that was doing the rounds recently, and I mentioned Dan Robinson, she sat down and we kind of toyed with this a little bit. And she sat down and I said, shall we get it out of the way? She was like, and I said, let's talk about your facelift.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. And she was like, yeah, I've had a facelift.
And what?
And she said, 30 years ago, and what? Exactly. And she was like, why shouldn't I? She said, it is a service to women to tell them. She's like, I do Pilates. I have money and I have time to keep myself like this. And she said, I think it is a service to women to tell them, you know, it's the feminist thing to do, is to admit what you've gotten done instead of pretending. I was like, babe, that's a good spin. I liked it. I liked her openness, like her kind of directness, you know. So yeah,
it is a good way of looking at it though, isn't it? Like, you know, she is being honest, she is being open, like everybody's having nips and tucks and tweaks and things to make themselves feel all right.
She's in her late 70s.
No, mate, she looks fucking ridiculous for that.
Yeah, and she's got like she's got energy as well, you know. You know, she's quite fierce. Who else? Mary Berry was on and was just, again, it was like the Queen entering. Yeah. You know, and it's really interesting to see, because they joined the sofa this time, so you can see people that everyone's demeanor changes and they're like, oh, she's in the room, everyone behaves.
It's a little bit straighter and stuff.
Yeah, and they wait, they don't butt in. They just like, you know.
Oh, she has an energy though. Like I remember being at like TV Choice Awards or something years ago now, and she was there. And they won for something, of course they did. And I couldn't help myself. I think I was still a little bit green at the gills, and I didn't realize you couldn't just bull up to these people
and lick her.
Yeah, just ask her about a soggy bottom. Like it was just all so stereotypical and awful. But and I've got this picture, and I'll send you it if I can find it. But it's me just like standing behind her, like she looks terrified, which is quite like a normal reaction to some fucking giant Geordie bird just like stumbling over to her being like, come and get a picture, and I'm just like behind her like grinning from ear to ear like a gremlin. It's honestly awful.
Oh, I love it though. No, I'll apologize on your behalf. Okay. But you know what? Again, her demeanor, because she's quite polished, you think that would deeply offend her. She's mad crack. Like she was talking about ending up in Ibiza in nightclubs. Yeah. And she's just like, she's super playful. And again, I just don't think you get to that point in this industry without a serious kind of grit and spark, you know. So she has all of that in abundance.
Yeah. I watched somewhere where she sort of said she'd never had a takeaway. But she has recently had a like frozen pizza.
I think that was on our show, actually.
I'm sure. Remember, I just
and
thought
she's like, never had. No. I mean, why would I? Why would you? Also, she lives out the country. They're probably a bit limited on Deliveroo out that neck of the woods, you know. But yeah, frozen. She's done a frozen pizza, which feels like rock and roll, you know.
It feels a bit debauched when the way she said it. It was like she'd done heroin.
Yeah. Frozen mushrooms and all on it.
Mate, I could sit and talk to you all day, and I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface on all of your incredible shows and projects and things. But
thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It's been lush, lass. Just really nice to catch up. But just so I sneak a tiny bit of format in there.
Go on.
Yeah, and Vicky Pattison, The Secret too. We always ask our gorgeous guests to give our lovely listeners a couple of pearls of wisdom. And sort of taking it right back to Joyrider, your fantastic book. I think it would be really nice if you told everybody your secret to being grateful.
My secret to being grateful. So I used to write them down, these things.
Yeah.
And they were big things, like big moments. And now I just try in every single moment to look around and go, oh, that was nice. This is a nice, I call it a vignette, like a little moment in time.
Like
I don't need to
snapshot.
Like a little snapshot, but that I can actually appreciate in the moment. Sometimes you find, it's only at the night when you write them down. Oh, that was nice, and that was nice, and that was nice. And I've been consciously trying to force myself into recognizing while I'm in it that this is it. And so it could be, a walk. It could be a cup of tea in bed, although be careful, because if it gets your groin, you're fucked. But it could be, a lie-in or a really nice, filthy pizza, whatever it is. It's actually just mindfully doing it and going, oh my God, I'm so lucky. This is nice, and not going, oh, that was nice. I did a podcast with Vicky P today, going, thank you for like this lovely chat and for introducing me to all your gorgeous listeners, and for
it's so like, so yes, gratitude. I think everybody would, in its most basic sense, I've done that. Angela, like I've sat there at the end of the day. I did the, something every week on a post-it note and put it in a jar. I did that.
Love it. Yeah.
And I did love it. And then my hairdresser and my makeup artist realised what I was doing and fucking wrote loads of fake ones and put them in the jar. And it really ruined it for us. They were very silly. Some of them were very rude as well. So I gave it that, but that feels, and it can potentially almost get a bit contrived, you
Totally.
sit down there at the end of the week and you're like, shit, I haven't done one. Well,
yes, and it can feel a bit empty, and you're like, tick, tick, tick.
Forced, yeah.
Exactly.
But if you slow down slightly and are more present in like your everyday life, then these beautiful moments, if you're not going so fast and trying to get the next, you'll actually recognize them and have a moment to be a moment of reflection, to be grateful. So
and I think it is that it's the feeling of it rather than just, oh, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. It's going, okay, pick one thing and like really feel into it. I'm so lucky to have, and I write about it in Joyrider, like waking in the morning and going, oh my God, this bed, these sheets feel so lovely in this bed, and having
it's warm
even if you've got like a hairy leg that you can rub up against, that you're like, oh, yours or somebody else's, and that you have this sense of like, oh, that's a lovely little moment. And I think sometimes we're afraid to really feel it in that moment, and to really feel love and to really feel joy, because the fear that it'll be gone. It's actually easier to just, not let it in. Going. Yeah, because actually getting really in touch with it, then, for me, makes me immediately think of death. So I'm like, I love you, fuck, you'll die.
Thoughts.
Exactly, I've heard that. And it is those intrusive thoughts, but it's actually going, no, feel into all of the good, all of the emotions, the good and the bad, and just let them properly and feel them all. Feel them all
and be grateful for them all, because the light, the shade, the ups and downs, it all just proves you're alive. And aren't we lucky?
Lucky as hell. Yeah. And it is usually the small things that you write off with your eye roll as like, silly or hippie. Those are actually the things. It's usually 100%. Not the next big job or the fabulous thing that you've bought yourself or whatever. It is usually that little moment of intimacy or contact or connection with people.
It's just tiny wholesome bits, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the wholesome shit. I love an old wholesome Instagram dump.
I do, and like I've got one from the weekend, and like I'm really nervous about posting it because it's It's not glossy, you know. It's not me in a bikini. It's not fucking something. It's just, fucking. I'm putting it up. Actually, you really
do it. You're putting it up now, and it's like a tree, and it's a bowl of soup that looks average but tasted like home. It's all that shit. Like honestly, I have a bit.
Green.
It's green. It's lovely. I have a bit in the back of the book, which I started doing this as a practice, and it's really, really helpful in my phone. When little moments would happen, I'd write them down. And like this is one, buttery toast. The kind with holes where lumps of butter drip through onto the plate or onto your hand and you get to mop it up with the crust. There's something so wildly comfortable about this most simple of pleasures. Put it on a gorgeous plate or eat it off a crumpled kitchen roll. It really doesn't matter. The joy is in the oozy, drippy yellow butter and the airy soakage of a good loaf together. Magic. This is the kind of profound shit you'll get in Joyrider, guys.
No, but then honestly, that was like porn for me. I love a bit of buttery toast. And it is like, we're not going to sit there on my deathbed and go, oh, fucking hell, I had X amount of Instagram followers. I look wicked in a bikini and I smashed this job. You're going to go, I've got this amazing family, or I remember that holiday at the seaside, or, you know, like, that amazing. It's the small things.
It's what you get back from what you put in, and it's all of those things, so that are hard to capture in Instagram.
So hard. The beauty doesn't come across in a picture. Sometimes it's in your heart. I'm so
girl, your heart doubles. It's doubling already before our eyes. You're ready. Don't put them on ice, babe. You're ready to go.
I'm so full of dopamine. I'm going to go before I say something else so cheesy. I love you, Angela. Thank you for a great day.
Bye, honey.